I'm here this afternoon with Roger Venguta. Is that how, am I pronouncing it correctly? Here in San Antonio. You're originally from India, I believe. How many years have you been here in the States?
I've been here for 17 years now.
17.
Yes.
What brought you to the United States?
Well, it was family, and I've always grown up. My goal was to be an American citizen and do something and contribute to the U.S. and it's always been my goal. And I grew up idolizing Ronald Reagan and the shining city on the hill. So it was always my goal.
What age were you when you came to the States?
I was 30.
You were 30 when you came. All right, all right. So is there a particular occupation or something that a field that you work in?
Yeah, I do software contract work. I do contracting. And I was actually contracting in the Silicon Valley, shuttling between Texas and California. But I got involved in the Trump campaign, and I decided that was more important, so I gave up my contracting on the West Coast.
Really?
And focused just in Texas so I could work on the campaign.
Oh my, that is really something. So I'm guessing that when you came to the States 17 years ago, you came as a legal immigrant? As
a legal citizen, legal immigrant.
Okay.
And with a green card, and then got my citizen, became a naturalized American citizen, the proudest day of my life.
So what was your process in coming as a legal immigrant? Was there money involved and time? What kind of give me a feel, being an immigrant from India, what that entailed?
Well, you had to, first of all, you had to have sponsorship here. You need someone to sponsor you, which my sister sponsored me.
Okay.
And they have to show that I will not be a burden on the system or anything, so there's going to be. And then once I came here, I have to make sure I find a job, and then obviously there's all the legal fees involved, immigration processing fees and all of that, and also making sure that you're not involved in associated with any groups, illegal groups, and making sure you have a clean record, you're paying all your taxes and everything, and then you apply for your citizenship, and there's a waiting period, and in that wait period there's certain things that you have to do, and then once you get the letter from the immigration department, that's when the process starts. So it's a long, lengthy process to be a citizen. What
kind of cost was involved 17 years ago? Do you remember?
Well, probably taking everything, I don't have an exact figure, but probably at least probably something like $4,000 to $5,000.
Wow. Yeah. So it sounds like when you got to the States, your purpose was to assimilate into the American culture.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that even growing up in India, what we were taught at home by our parents was, any country that you're living in, make sure you're fully a part of that culture. Not to impose your values, but to adapt and adopt their values, and to do something good, to give your best for that country and for the people there, and to fully, so essentially to be fully assimilated, to be part of the fabric of that country, not just go there and to get something out of it, which you will, and which is, I've been given so much by this great country, but at the same time to give something back positive.
Yeah. So are your parents still in India, or have they come to the States as well now?
Yeah, well, my dad is back there, my mom also is back there, but she had a green card, but she returned, one of the very few people that actually returned her green card, because if she had a green card, if she didn't travel at least, I believe, once every 18 months, then she'd lose the green card. So she said, well, I can't do that because they're in their mid to late 70s, and the journey is very taxing on them. So
Yeah.
They're back in India.
Wow. So you grew up in India. India, I've never been there, but I understand it's a country that has a lot of different religions there. What faith did you grow up as?
Well, I grew up it was a mixed Hindu-Christian family. I had, my parents were practicing Hindus, but I had aunts who were married into Christians, so we celebrated both Hindu and Christian festivals, Christmas and Easter and all of those, as well as the Hindu festivals. And I also had a lot of, Islamism is also a huge minority there, but it's 120 million Muslims.
Wow.
In India, so I had a lot of Muslim friends as well.
Yeah. So here in the States, are you still a dual practice in faith?
More of late, I've been become more into Christianity. Although I do, I have Hindu friends as well, so I'm more leaning towards Christianity. Okay.
You mentioned that there were 120 million Muslims in India. With you witnessing the refugee and immigration situation we have going on here, what are your thoughts as someone who came in a planned move versus what's going on today?
Well, that's one of the reasons I got involved with the Trump campaign, and what I'm doing now is immigration is fine, but the primary focus has to be assimilation, and you can't have people coming in who you don't know what their intentions are. When I came in, or other people, my relatives, we came in with the full intention of fully assimilating into American society. Not to impose any foreign values. According to me, America is a Judeo-Christian country, and and that's how it should be, in my opinion. And when you have people coming in, and I know this because I grew up in a country that has been battling radical Islam for 1,400 years, so I know a little bit, a first-hand experience of what it means to be taken over by an alien culture. And once that's normalized, then there's nothing you can do. And I see that attempt being made here.
Speak more on that, because I think that's something that American citizens do not really realize is going on, and that it's not just a natural thing, but it is a premeditated thing to take over the control of a country. So share what your firsthand knowledge is of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just with growing up in India, a country that was experienced attacks from the first Islamic attacks going back to the 10th century, and then continuing onwards. And we grew up with stories of India being attacked by Islamic kings, or they were just essentially raiders, Muslim rulers. And people don't talk about it, but there was a huge genocide in India. And there's different numbers of the genocide. But a Muslim historian by the name of Muhammad Farishd documented in the 16th century that at least 400 million Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains were killed by Islamic invasion, and tens of millions more women captured, enslaved as sex slaves. Other men survivors castrated and enslaved. So we've been dealing with this for a long time. So that's the background of Islam and its impact on India.
So now you've embraced America as your country. This is your home. This is where you plan to stay. What are your feelings with society saying we need to let everyone in?
Yeah, well, people who say that, they're either completely ignorant of what the ramifications of that are, or they have some other hidden motive. There's another something at work. They have a different agenda. But in either case, you can't have that. I mean, you can't have the last remaining free country. We see what's going on in Europe. We see what's going on in Sweden and in the UK, and they're not. Sweden is not Sweden. UK is not UK anymore. We can't have that happen here. It's not.
There's nowhere else to go.
Nowhere to go. So I always like to say, I can't run anywhere. This is it. If this country is gone, freedom and liberty is lost forever, because everywhere else it's already gone.
What would you say to what I'll call the average American citizen? What do they need to truly understand about what's going on today?
Well, one thing they need to understand is don't buy into what people are saying. Don't go by their words, go by their deeds. And what I mean by that is, if you look at a group like CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, or something like that, or Muslim Brotherhood, yeah, they'll say we're peaceful, that's fine, but don't listen to that. Look at their deeds. Do some research. Don't depend on the mainstream media, because they have a different agenda. Do your own research, and just remember that what freedoms that you think you're fighting for, you are jeopardizing them by supporting groups like CARE, because they're completely against those. And this is coming, look, you just need to look at me and my story, and India, and the story of India, and various other countries that were taken over by Islam, radical Islam. So that I just say, do your own research. Don't believe everything at face value. Do your research.
Yeah. Any last thoughts? Anything else you'd like to share with my audience?
Yeah, just one thing is, I always, I say, when you ask me, when I came to assimilate, I always like to say, I'm brown on the outside, red, white, and blue on the inside.
Oh, I love it.
So to me, I see this as a struggle for survival of the free people and liberty. So everyone, please, we need to act. We need to act now. Whatever way you can, spreading the message, getting people involved, and those kinds of things. So this is it. God gave us one last chance, and this is our time to make sure. Is
part of what you shared there, is that what encouraged you to step up and work for the election of Donald Trump as president?
Yes, absolutely. Now, it didn't start then. The day I came to the U.S., from that day on, I keep saying to anyone who'd listen, that the next big problem is going to be radical Islam. It's not any other. But no one listened. And then on the evening of September 11th, those same folks came to me and said, you know what, you were right. And,
wow.
And they listened for another 1 month, and then they went back to their reality TV and NFL football. But then San Bernardino happened, and I was in California when that happened. And
oh my.
So that brought back, that was like a wake-up call to me. I said, it's not enough for me to just talk or post on blogs. I need to actually get involved, and that's when I got involved. And Trump was the only one who even had the guts to mention radical Islam.
True, so true. Well, I hope that what you've shared with my audience, that they'll truly take it to heart, and in whatever way they can, get involved and make a difference, and so we can hold on to America that we remember when we were kids. So, Roger, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, absolutely. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.